That's when they opened that front hatch on the Tesla and found the bag with the body parts.
And they call that the frunk, if I'm not mistaken, in the front of the Tesla. It's like the trunk in the front.
Ain't no label in the game worse than being branded a predator. But with David, the streets whisper it might run way darker than that. Insiders already painting the picture of what his cell block life gonna look like. Spoiler alert, it ain't pretty. His career might have been built on smooth R&B hits, but behind bars, the vibe is a whole different nightmare. And it all comes back to one discovery that shook the internet to its core: the body in the Tesla. The scene felt like something straight out of a Netflix true crime doc. What was supposed to be a calm September morning in 2025 quickly flipped into one of the most jaw-dropping scandals the music world has ever seen. September 8th, Hollywood Tow, just a basic impound lot in LA. Workers think they're dealing with a normal pickup call. But the second they catch that foul, gut punch smell leaking from the car, everything changed. This wasn't just a bad odor, it was the start of a homicide case that sent shockwaves across the globe. And get this, it wasn't some random junker. No, the ride was a slick 2023 Tesla Model 3. Shiny, spotless, and registered to one name only: David Anthony Burke, aka D4vd. Just 3 years back, this kid was in his bedroom piecing together Fortnite highlight reels, chasing clout online. By 20, he was a full-blown superstar. 30 million monthly listeners, billions of streams, hits like Romantic Homicide playing everywhere. The rise was insane, straight bedroom to billboard. But that morning, none of it mattered. The Tesla had been sitting abandoned for 5 whole days on Bluebird Avenue and Dowie Drive, baking in the sun, stinking up the block. Workers couldn't ignore the sour, death-like stench any longer. And when they opened it up, that's when the nightmare really began. At first, workers brushed it off. Maybe a dead cat, maybe some animal trapped underneath the car. But as the stench got unbearable, they called LAPD.
Certainly had some of them, because the police did say that she had this tattoo, which is very interesting, something we found out, but she had a tattoo on her right index finger that said the letters SHHH ...
And that's when everything flipped from routine to nightmare. When officers popped open the front trunk, Tesla owners call it the frunk. What they found was beyond chilling. Inside, wrapped tight in plastic bags and shoved into that cramped space, was a badly decomposed human body. The remains weren't even intact. Investigators whispered about signs of dismemberment. From the looks of it, this wasn't recent. The condition suggested the person had been gone for months, maybe longer. And with the brutal LA summer heat cooking that car, decomposition had accelerated to a horrific degree. The scene instantly turned into a homicide case, with LAPD's elite robbery homicide division taking charge. Crime scene techs swarmed the impound lot, combing through every inch of the Tesla. Meanwhile, the medical examiner began the grueling job of trying to ID the victim. But with the remains so far gone, even figuring out basic details, age, gender, ethnicity, was nearly impossible. For more than a week, headlines screamed with one haunting question: who was in David's car? And here's the wild part. While all this was going down, D4D himself wasn't even in California. He was on stage in Minneapolis, deep into his Withered World tour. As news spread, his team scrambled, dropping a statement saying he was fully cooperating with investigators and had no idea anything shady was tied to his vehicle. Then came the bombshell. On September 17th, 9 long days after the discovery, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner dropped a name that rattled the internet. The victim was officially identified as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a young woman from Lake Elsinore, California, reported missing since spring 2024.
We also know that the car had been abandoned on that street in the Hollywood Hills for at least 3 days before it was impounded. We've also spoken to neighbors in that area who said that there were people who had walked by the car and had noticed a bad odor, and that they kind of thought it was either a dead animal somewhere, either under the car or near the car.
The second her name hit the headlines, social media went into meltdown. Fans, critics, and the public all demanded answers. How did her body end up in D4vd's Tesla? And what did this mean for the star's future? Al principio pensaron que era un gato muerto o algún animal el coche, pero cuando el se volvió insoportable, llamaron al LAPD Y ahí todo dio macabro. Lo que los agentes encontraron dentro del Frank, ese malo del que solo los dueños de Tesla suelen mencionar, fue algo que nadie estaba preparado para ver. Envueltos en de plástico y en el espacio había restos humanos en avanzado estado de descomposición, descritos como no intactos, con claros signos de abdo desmembrados. Las condiciones del cuerpo revelaban que ha muerto mucho tiempo, tal vez meses. El calor brutal del verano angelino aceleró la descomposición hasta un nivel espantoso. En cuestión de horas, la escena se convirtió en un operativo gigante liderado por la División de Homicidios y Robos del LAPD. Los forenses se lanzaron sobre cada rincón del Tesla, buscando pistas, mientras la oficina del médico forense iniciaba la dolorosa tarea de intentar identificar a la víctima. Pero el estado del cuerpo lo hacía casi imposible. Ni la edad, ni el género, ni la edad podían ser confirmados al inicio. Durante más de una semana, la pregunta se repetía en todos los titulares. ¿Quién era la persona encontrada en el auto de David? Mientras tanto, el cantante a miles de kilómetros en pleno tramo de su Withered World Tour, actuando en Minneapolis. Su equipo de prensa reaccionó rápido con un comunicado. David estaba totalmente cooperando con las autoridades y, según ellos, no tenía idea de lo que había en su vehículo. El gran quiebre llegó 9 días después, el 10 de septiembre de 2025, cuando la oficina del médico forense del condado de Los Ángeles soltó la bomba que diría redes y noticieros. La víctima era Celeste Rivas Hernández, una chica de 15 años de Lake Elsinore, California, reportada como desaparecida desde el de 2024, un nombre que transformó el caso en un escándalo nacional. Celeste's disappearance had haunted her family for more than a year, her loved ones searching nonstop, clinging to hope that she'd somehow return home. When the body was finally identified, the details weren't just heartbreaking. They were disturbing enough to ignite weeks of online obsession and conspiracy. The breakthrough came from something small but chilling, a distinctive tattoo etched on her right index finger. That mark didn't just confirm her identity, it became the center of a firestorm. Because when photos started hitting the internet, online sleuths noticed something that gave everyone goosebumps. David himself had the exact same tattoo, in the exact same spot, on the exact same finger. And this wasn't some basic ink either.
These people are talking to a known underage, dating an adult, brother. These people are talking to an underage person knowingly that they're underage. Like, knowing that they're dating a...
Sure, celebrities like Rihanna and Lindsay Lohan had once popularized it, but it was rare enough that two people tied to the same case, both rocking identical designs, looked suspicious as hell. Side-by-side pictures went viral, social media blowing up with demands. What does this tattoo connection really mean? TMZ was first to run with the story. Producer Charles Latiboudaire even explained on the Banfield show how the tattoo helped investigators confirm the victim's identity. But that was just the start, because when the timeline came together, it turned bone-chilling. Celeste had been reported missing back in April 2024, but the advanced decomposition suggested she'd died much more recently. That left a gaping, horrifying question. What happened in those missing months? Was she alive? Hidden away? While her family searched in agony? Or was something far darker going on behind the scenes? And then came the revelation that made jaws drop everywhere. Celeste's own mother told TMZ that before vanishing, her daughter had been romantically linked to an older boyfriend named David. That detail alone sent shockwaves across social media, fueling rumors, theories, and accusations that just wouldn't stop. The moment it came out that the victim's mother claimed her daughter was linked to a boyfriend named David, and the fact that the superstar's real name was David Anthony Burke, fans said it was no coincidence. The internet went into overdrive, and when social media locks in, the storm hits fast and furious. Within hours, hashtags like #JusticeForCeleste and #DavidTesla were blowing up worldwide. Millions of posts, comments, and threads dissected every angle of the case. Reddit true crime boards lit up, Twitter exploded with theories, and TikTok was drowning in videos connecting dots that painted one damning picture after another. And the media? Relentless. Major outlets like NBC and the BBC plastered headlines about the decomposed body found in a star's Tesla. Al Jazeera, TMZ, local LA news.
Obviously, y'all have seen the current David situation. In this video, I just want to address some stuff. Now, a lot of people on Twitter are mad at me because in 2023, I tried to expose David for what he was doing at the time. And I just want to clear up that the stuff from 2023 was not about the Celeste girl that was obviously recently in the news. It's nothing to do with her.
All of them fighting to break the next shocking detail. It was wall-to-wall coverage. Every station asking the same haunting question. How did a rising music star's car become the grave for a missing young woman? But here's the part that really freaked people out. David's silence. This was an artist who had built an empire off of emotional lyrics, heartbreak confessions, and intimate vibes with his fans. Yet now, in the middle of the most serious crisis of his life, he went completely dark. His socials, once buzzing with tour clips and fan shoutouts, suddenly froze. No tweets, no posts, no words, just silence. Meanwhile, his reps kept repeating the same line, that he was fully cooperating with authorities. But to fans, that wasn't enough. This was the man whose name, his car, and even his tattoo were tied to the victim. And instead of answers, the world got nothing. The fallout was instant. Big brands couldn't run from the scandal fast enough. Crocs, Hollister, and others ripped up contracts, canceled deals, and cut ties. In just days, David went from chart-topping superstar to toxic headline nobody wanted to stand next to. As brands yanked promos and deleted his face from campaigns, the music world followed suit. Fellow artists scrambled to cut ties. Kaylee even announced she was pulling their collab from all streaming platforms. That move alone showed just how radioactive David had become in a matter of days. But the real storm was only beginning. The case left the world choking on unanswered questions. How did Celeste end up dead in a superstar's Tesla? What exactly was her connection to David? And most haunting, did people close to him know something and stay quiet? The shocking discovery in that Hollywood impound lot was only chapter 1. Because what investigators and internet detectives hungry for the truth would soon uncover painted a picture way darker than anyone first imagined. Allegations of grooming, manipulation, and whispers of enablers protecting him began to spread online like wildfire. The story was mutating from a tragic crime into a full-on industry scandal. As the initial shock faded, new claims surfaced daily. Social media threads, leaked screenshots, and testimonies began sketching a sinister web of connections. What looked like coincidence at first now resembled a pattern, one that suggested David's behavior had been questioned before, and that maybe those around him had turned a blind eye to keep the money flowing. Fans called it a cover-up hiding in plain sight. Then came the first major breakthrough, a leak from deep inside an underground music forum. It was a demo track floating around since late 2023 that suddenly took on terrifying new meaning. The file's name? Celeste Demo. And when people played it, the lyrics felt eerie, almost prophetic, as if David himself had foreshadowed the tragedy long before the world knew her name. The leaked demo track sent chills across the internet. In the song, David crooned directly about a girl named Celeste with unsettling lines. Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed. Hearing those words, knowing what would later be discovered, left fans shaken to their core. And the timing? Even worse. That demo had been floating around underground circles since late 2023, months before Celeste vanished in April 2024. Suddenly, the question wasn't just what happened, it was how long had David known her, and what exactly was going on between them. But the leaked track was only the start of a darker trail.
What I have from 2023 was nothing to do with Celeste. These were other girls, underage girls, that had claimed David had messaged them or had, relationships with them or, doing inappropriate things with them. And I want people to know that in 2023, I did try and bring the situation to light. And a lot of people remember, I was having a lot of for it. It got so bad that David's legal team had got in contact with me to remove everything. I've attached an email here that I received from his team in 2023.
Internet investigators went digging into David's digital past, and what they uncovered looked damning. Screenshots allegedly pulled from his old Discord server showed conversations between David and a user named Celeste, dating back as far as 2022. The tone? Flirtatious, suggestive, and wildly inappropriate considering the situation. One exchange that went viral showed the user writing, "Hi, it's me, Celeste," to which David appeared to reply with encouragement and attention. Fans who analyzed the logs pieced together a troubling timeline, suggesting he'd been in contact with her long before he blew up into a global superstar. And here's the kicker. This wasn't a one-off. The alleged Discord chats painted the picture of ongoing communication that stretched across years. That's where the power imbalance became impossible to ignore. A teenage artist on the come-up, already gaining millions of fans, allegedly maintaining ties with a girl much younger who idolized him. The story went nuclear when a viral Twitter thread resurfaced from 2023. A user claimed they'd been trying to expose David for months, posting clips and receipts that no one had paid attention to back then. Now, with the Tesla discovery, those posts suddenly looked like chilling warnings ignored. And with that, the floodgates opened. Other supposed victims and whistleblowers began stepping out of the shadows, hinting that Celeste's case might only be the beginning. Once the floodgates opened, the internet went wild. Multiple users on Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok began dropping screenshots, DMs, and stories about David's alleged behavior with young fans. Piece by piece, a picture formed. One of a rising star who may have been using his growing fame not just to charm audiences, but to lure and manipulate vulnerable admirers. Celeste, it now seemed, might not have been the only one. And this wasn't just online chatter. Photos started surfacing too. Pictures showing David and Celeste together in real life. The images, grainy but damning, suggested their relationship had moved far beyond digital exchanges. One shot in particular shook everyone. David standing near Celeste's family home in Lake Elsinore, just days before she disappeared in April 2024. That wasn't coincidence. It hinted at planning, intent, and a deeper connection than anyone had wanted to believe. But the most gut-wrenching blow came from inside Celeste's own family. Her brother, Matt Rivas, stepped forward with claims that ripped the case wide open. In leaked conversations shared on Reddit, Matt revealed that he had actually tried to sound the alarm back when Celeste first went missing. According to him, he went to the Lake Elsinore police in April 2024, telling them about David's involvement and even handing over evidence of their relationship. What he got back, though, was devastating. Matt said authorities brushed him off, claiming there wasn't enough proof to act. Imagine that. Someone close to the victim saw the danger, tried to stop it, and was ignored. To the public, it wasn't just a failure, it was negligence. And it left people asking one brutal question.
Dude, these people are talking to a known underage, dating a fucking adult, brother. These people are talking to a underage person knowingly that they're underage. Like, knowing that they're dating a adult. This is weird. What is wrong with it, bro? And you know what I say, dude, don't blame these guys. Bro, I will say my business always about this. You can always blame people that don't around because, bro, they're part of the problem, man.
If police had listened back then, would Celeste still be alive today? Matt's claims left the world shaken. His words suggested that if police had taken his first report seriously, Celeste might still be alive today. The family's statements painted a devastating picture of what her final months were like. In interviews, her mother said Celeste was deeply infatuated with David, believing she was in a real, romantic relationship with him. But to outsiders, it looked far more sinister. Celeste had been manipulated into thinking their bond was normal, even special, when in reality, she was too young to understand the imbalance. What unfolded matched textbook grooming. David allegedly using his fame, attention, and influence to isolate her from friends and family, convincing her their connection was unique and had to stay secret. Over time, he offered comfort, escalated the relationship, and made her emotionally dependent on him. The most disturbing part? Evidence suggested he wasn't acting alone. Multiple whispers online pointed to an entire inner circle that may have known about inappropriate behavior and either turned a blind eye, or worse, enabled it. From Discord moderators accused of covering up chat logs, to industry friends and collaborators who allegedly witnessed red flags but said nothing, the silence around him looked deliberate. The extent of that possible cover-up became clearer when other creators and insiders started speaking out. On live streams, podcasts, and TikTok clips, people who once worked alongside him dropped hints that they'd seen concerning behavior but never spoke publicly until now. The narrative forming was ugly. Not just one man's alleged misconduct, but a network that protected him for years. And while the moral fallout grew, the professional consequences were immediate. Within days of Celeste's identification hitting headlines, David's empire began to collapse. Major brands tore up contracts, endorsements evaporated overnight, and companies rushed to scrub his name from campaigns. His career wasn't just damaged, it was in freefall. Perhaps the most chilling sign of where things were headed came from David's own camp. His team, once quick to hype him up and defend his every move, suddenly seemed to be pulling back. Sure, his reps kept repeating the same lines about cooperating with authorities, but there was no passionate defense, no aggressive PR spin, none of the usual firepower celebrities get when scandals hit. The silence said it all. Maybe even those closest to him professionally couldn't stomach defending this anymore. Of course, not everyone turned against him. A handful of diehard defenders pointed out that D4vd was on tour in Chicago and Minneapolis right before and after the Tesla was hauled into impound. To them, that proved he couldn't have been in LA during the key window. But those arguments barely touched the bigger, brutal truth staring everyone in the face. A young woman was dead, and red flags had been ignored for far too long. If the case leads to charges, and worse, a conviction, the reality waiting for David will make the internet memes look like child's play. Fans joke about what life behind bars could look like for a chart-topping singer, but the truth is far darker. If he ends up in prison, it won't be VIP treatment, it won't be glamour, and it definitely won't be safe. The LAPD investigation into Celeste's death is only intensifying, with insiders whispering that formal charges are looming. And if that hammer drops, David's new life starts inside the Los Angeles County jail system, one of the most overcrowded, violent detention networks in America. Places like Men's Central Jail and Twin Towers are notorious for gang control, brutal assaults, and zero celebrity privileges. For 3 years, David lived in luxury, flying private jets, performing sold-out shows, and raking in millions. But if things play out the way prosecutors expect, his next chapter could be inside a cell where fame means nothing and survival means everything. In 2024, federal inspectors exposed horrifying conditions inside LA's jail system: broken plumbing, extreme overcrowding, and unchecked gang violence running wild. Even inmates awaiting trial weren't spared. For high-profile names like David, guards usually try protective custody. But that so-called protection often means solitary confinement, locked away 23 hours a day. No contact, no relief. And that kind of isolation, it crushes you. A 2023 report by the Vera Institute revealed just how bad it gets. Detainees in solitary spiral into depression, paranoia, and in some cases, even self-harm. For a 20-year-old superstar used to flashing lights, arenas packed with screaming fans, and the luxury of freedom, the shock of being caged in a tiny room day after day would be brutal. If charges drop, David's first stop would almost certainly be the Twin Towers Correctional Facility in Los Angeles, the same place notorious for housing mental health cases, gang affiliates, and high-risk inmates. Even celebrities who passed through LA jails before him, like Suge Knight or O.J. Simpson, faced threats and violence despite extra protection. And once convicted, the game changes completely.
Hey, I'm gonna say this right now. He didn't kill anybody, bro. He didn't kill anybody. There's no way. There's no way he's been on tour. He didn't kill anybody. He's been on tour. He literally performed yesterday. Bro, do you see the videos that he makes? There's no way he's killing somebody.
California's prison system is its own ruthless world, carved up by racial and gang lines. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation separates inmates to stop riots, but the culture of allegiance is everywhere. White inmates roll with groups like the Aryan Brotherhood, Latino prisoners with the Mexican Mafia or Sureños, Black inmates with Bloods, Crips, or prison-born gangs. The rules are clear. You pick a side, or the system picks it for you. And that's where David's biggest danger lies. He's young, he's famous, and he has no gang ties. In that environment, he's a target. Online memes joke about his soft voice and moody R&B tracks, but behind bars, that image could mark him as weak. And in prison hierarchies, weakness doesn't survive. It gets exploited. The detail that the alleged victim was only 15 made the scandal even more radioactive. In prison culture, crimes against minors are considered the absolute bottom of the barrel, the kind of charge that paints a permanent target on your back. Inmates accused of those crimes are attacked, extorted, or even killed. And while protective custody can slow the danger, it doesn't erase it. Behind bars, nothing stays secret. Inmates have bribed guards, manipulated transfers, and struck during hallway movements just to get at people with charges like these. And with David's case splashed across every headline and screen, there wouldn't be a single prisoner who didn't know his name, or the accusations tied to it. His risk, if convicted, would skyrocket. For now, LAPD still hasn't filed homicide charges as of late September 2025. The investigation continues, zeroing in on Tesla Jeep's data, key card logs, and surveillance footage from Bluebird Avenue where the car was dumped. Detectives even seized hard drives from a property linked to David on Doheny Place. TMZ insiders claim those devices are being combed through for ties between him and Celeste. But here's the twist. While no charges have landed yet, the internet is already serving its own sentence. Speculation about his future in prison has raced far ahead of the legal process, fueled by David's own art. Fans point to lyrics from Romantic Homicide, where he sang about killing a lover named Celeste and being haunted by the memory. Now, people are reframing those bars as confessions, splicing them into TikToks of mugshots and prison cell edits. And that leaked demo Celeste_demo? It only threw gasoline on the fire. With lyrics about eternal devotion and tattoos echoing his real-life connections, listeners claimed it sounded like prophecy. Suddenly, what was once music became evidence in the court of public opinion. This obsession reflects a bigger cultural pattern. Celebrities accused of horrific crimes often become online memes before any legal verdict is reached. We saw it with R. Kelly. We saw it with Tekashi 6ix9ine. And now, David's name is being turned into viral entertainment. But strip away the memes and edits, and the truth is no joke. California prisons are among the deadliest in the nation. In 2022 alone, CDCR recorded over 6,000 assaults, 2,000 involving weapons. If convicted of homicide or even accessory charges, David wouldn't be looking at months. He'd be staring down decades in one of the most violent systems in America. David's age, just 20, makes him more vulnerable than ever if he ends up in the system. Observers point to a chilling comparison. Rapper YN Melly, accused of double homicide at 19, has already spent years trapped in Florida jails awaiting trial. He's faced constant threats, solitary confinement, and mental health collapse. Many argue that if charges come, David's reality will look frighteningly similar, an endless loop of court delays, survival struggles, and psychological decline. But the cultural fallout has already begun, and it's brutal. His streaming numbers are tanking. Spotify and Apple quietly erased him from top playlists. Venues have canceled shows. Brands that once flaunted him in campaigns have cut ties and deleted posts. Within 2 weeks of Celeste's identification, his career wasn't just slowing down, it was unraveling in real time. Still, defenders remain. Some argue he was on tour when the Tesla was abandoned, that anyone could have used the car, and that lyrics shouldn't be twisted into evidence. They call this trial by internet, pointing to cases like NBA YoungBoy or Tory Lanez, where media frenzy blurred the lines long before verdicts. But the difference here is chilling. The victim's age, the gruesome state of the body, and the fact it was tied to his car. Those details don't fade. Whether or not prosecutors press charges, the stigma has already branded him forever. The memes might exaggerate, but they reveal a grim truth. David isn't just seen as a fallen star anymore. He's viewed as a potential predator, his future defined by whispers of prison cells and life behind bars. The LAPD's case is still active. Toxicology results are pending. Forensic experts are combing through his digital footprint. No charges have dropped yet, but in the court of public opinion, the verdict has already been delivered. And it's unforgiving. David's prison cell isn't a question of if anymore. It's a question of when. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more. See you next time.